As we approach the city, remember that back in 1846, a royal commission recommended that no surface railways be allowed anywhere in an area of central London dubbed the Quadrilateral, to preserve the fabric of the city and prevent traffic congestion around stations. With one exception, this held good right through the age of railway building, and explains why all London's termini are termini, standing in a ring round the city centre. Today's Blackfriars Bridge is the later of two parallel structures, and the piers of the earlier one, dismantled in 1985, can here be seen extreme left. Blackfriars Station, with platforms stretching out over the river, is another new building, completed in 1978. But in the booking hall are preserved the original stone blocks, listing the varying destinations once served from here. St. Petersburg, Westgate-on-Sea, Constantinople, Crystal Palace. The one line that did manage to breach the Quadrilateral of 1846 was this one, which pushed through to join the Metropolitan Railway's underground section at Farringdon Street in 1865. A short spur was then added to a new terminus at Holborn Viaduct. The through lines closed to passengers in 1916 and goods in 1969, but reopened for the Thameslink service, electrified on the third rail, in 1988. 2 years later, Holborn Viaduct Station and approaches were sold and demolished for office building. The through lines could then be completely realigned. Here we're dropping sharply down at 1 in 29 over Queen Victoria Street, through the site of the old Ludgate Hill station, and then under Ludgate Hill itself, instead of over it as before. Now we're into the new St Paul's Thameslink station, where building work was still underway when this journey was filmed in April 1991. Since renamed City Thameslink, its northern end is on the site of the long-vanished steam age station known first as Snow Hill and then Holborn Viaduct Low Level. Just visible here is the area once occupied by 4 carriage sidings. Beyond, we pass under the western end of Smithfield Meat Market. A south to east spur, the Aldersgate Curve, once diverged here towards Moorgate for city commuters. This was abandoned after passenger services ceased in 1916. We are now approaching West Street Junction, where we enter Farringdon Station and join the Metropolitan widened lines, so called because they widened the existing formation when opened in 1866, just 3 years after the original pair of tracks. The latter, of course, carry the London Underground and cross over the widened lines immediately west of Farringdon Station. From here, Thameslink services currently proceed to the Midland Main Line as far as Bedford. North of Farringdon, the line is electrified at 25 kV on the overhead system, and the Class 319 EMUs are dual voltage units with both overhead and third rail pickup equipment. We're now about to retrace our steps on Thameslink as far as London Bridge. To the left, the widened lines today see a peak hour only service for 3/4 of a mile through Barbican to Moorgate Terminus. But pressure on Thameslink to run longer trains is now such that it's proposed to extend Farringdon platforms. That can only be done at this end, which means closing off the junction and, beyond it, the widened lines to Moorgate. When passenger trains stopped running through Snow Hill Tunnel in 1916, trade had been killed by the much more convenient underground and the electric tram, though goods traffic remained intensive. 60 and 70 years on, the goods traffic had dried up, but the huge passenger growth between the new outer suburbs and satellite towns, plus traffic congestion throughout the metropolis, justified the reopening of this line and the start of Thameslink in 1988. Now, traffic levels are taxing Thameslink to the limit, and plans are being made for further radical upgrading. The Channel Tunnel link to St Pancras is also involved, as is the reconnection of the widened lines to the Great Northern System under King's Cross. All this will mean large-scale engineering work at the worst pinch points: Farringdon, Blackfriars and London Bridge. As we ascend the 1 in 29 off the platform end at City Thameslink, we rise up through the site of the old Ludgate Hill commuter station, closed in 1929. In the arches, now demolished from here to Blackfriars, were the stores and headquarters of Spears and Pond, railway caterers on the grand scale from Victorian times up until the 1930s. As we head towards London Bridge and the Brighton line, the potential for delays can at once be seen as we cut across the entrance to the Blackfriars terminal platforms on the left. There doesn't seem to be anything else about, but a signal check approaching Blackfriars Junction means conflicting movements around the corner. We shall swing left here for London Bridge, while the London, Chatham and Dover's old City line keeps straight on for Herne Hill, where it joins the tracks out of Victoria. Around half of Thameslink's cross-London services currently go that way, and half via London Bridge. Another pinch point here, as the Blackfriars tracks dwindle to 1 on the approach to the Charing Cross lines at Metropolitan Junction. Another signal check coming up. This time, the reason is in full view. Here, at Metropolitan Junction, the formation narrows down to just 2 tracks, threading the bridges across the streets of Southwark. The quarter mile from here to Borough Market Junction, where the Cannon Street lines come in, is arguably the worst railway bottleneck in the entire country, and the physical and financial barriers to widening it are plain to see. The so-called Thameslink 2000 project now aims to double capacity along this section by 2006 through re-signalling and longer trains. Yet another signal check as we approach London Bridge. Notice on the right the rather unusual cable duct arching above the crossover line. At London Bridge, we shall change trains and return to Croydon by a different route. We now leave London Bridge from the old London, Brighton and South Coast Railway's terminal platforms, calling at all stations to West Croydon via Peckham Rye, Tulse Hill and Streatham Common. As we leave, a train for Charing Cross on the former South Eastern tracks is entering the high-level side of the station on our left. Our own LB and SC route will thread the heart of the dense network of lines built in Victorian times to crisscross the South London suburbs. Several different routes exist between all the main centres, and train services have changed down the years between various different permutations. Very recently, for example, the service we are now on has been switched to run into East Croydon rather than west. Units in British Rail's standard blue and grey flank another in the much snappier red, white and blue of Network South East, headed at this period by the redoubtable Chris Green. This camera angle shows well the great width of the multi-track layout, which runs above street level for almost 2 miles and provides a vast area of covered working and storage space beneath.